Well, welcome everyone to DataHawk's virtual summit, which will be happening today and tomorrow, June 16 and 17. Everything will be recorded and made available to you. We appreciate you taking the time today to join us for this really cool session entitled "How to Find the Best Keywords for Your Amazon Products." And we've brought two experts today to share their experience, their thoughts, what works, what doesn't work, and make sure that you get great value out of this time. So Tariq Barada is the CEO at M19, which is a machine learning technology empowering brands to optimize their advertising campaigns on Amazon globally. They're available in 15 plus markets worldwide. And the service is offered through a monthly subscription plan, running ad campaigns automatically. Super cool software for growing profitability and launching new products on Amazon. Mike Begg is also joining us. He's the co-founder of AMZ Advisors. Mike is an entrepreneur and expert in e-commerce and digital marketing. He co-founded AMZ Advisors with his two partners in 2015 and has since grown the business to managing over $10 million a year in ad spend and $100 million in ads in Amazon sales. Mike and the AMZ team also operate AMZ courses around education of Amazon sellers and how to maximize sales on the platform, and Eleva, which helps brands expand into Latin America. Mike loves sharing advice and helping. And in fact, I would say that about both of our guests today. And so with that, I'm gonna kick us off. We've got a set of questions to begin with that we're gonna start to talk about. And so here we go. And where I wanted to start off with this is to talk about different ways of using keywords, right? The keywords, we use keywords, we advertise against keywords, we build keywords into our pages. We use keywords in a number of different ways and understand the value there. But how do we find the best keywords for products, from the brand, from broad matching, category targeting, et cetera? So I'm going to throw that out to Mike and Tariq, and either one of you guys can start off and let's talk a little bit about finding keywords.
Sure. Thank you for that introduction, Pierre. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm excited to be here and talking about this. The way that I usually start the conversation around keywords is looking at what my competitors are doing in the market space, seeing what products are out there that are dominating the market share right now, and identifying what keywords they have. Using a reverse ASIN tool, we use Helium 10, we use ZonGuru, some other tools as well to see keywords our competitors are indexed for. And then beyond that, I mean, you have a variety of other ways using Amazon advertising reports, like the search term report, the brand analytics report. I mean, there's a ton of different ways to identify different keywords. It's more of a matter of figuring out what keywords make the most sense for your product.
Great. Tariq, would you like to add a little bit to that, and then
yes,
we'll take a deeper dive?
Yes, thanks, Pierre, for this introduction. Completely aligned. A big repeat of all what Mike said. I would only add something that is very simple and basic, and sometimes can get us can be a good source of keywords. Is first starting with what is your target customer, and try to reverse just the search procedure to land to your product. And while doing that, you will come up with one word or a couple of words that you can directly input in Amazon.com or that whatever country you are looking for. And Amazon is automatically in the autocomplete. They will be throwing to you the list of the most relevant, similar, and popular keywords that are linked to what you are starting to type. So this might seem very simple and basic, but it works. If you are, let's say, selling shoes, like while you start typing shoes, you will get the most searched shoes related queries directly on Amazon through the autocomplete. And as Mike said, there are different tools to reverse ASIN lookup, or to just keyword extraction, where you input one seed keyword and it gives you a list of similar keywords that are ranked or sorted by relevancy or search volume or an estimate of sales amount. One other easy way is like what Mike said, is just using brand analytics. Just go in with one word, you throw one word, you select the monthly range, monthly aggregation, and automatically Amazon will output the list of any query that contains this word. It doesn't matter in what position, and it is already sorted by search volume, and on each one you have what are the top competitors that are already getting top, like the biggest pie on these search terms. So if you don't want to pay anything, no tool, easy, autocomplete directly on Amazon or brand analytics, while just throwing there some seed words in order to end up with some very relevant search queries.
Excellent. That's very helpful. Thank you both. One thing I wanted to ask, because I hear this from time to time, that going through customers' reviews can sometimes reveal search terms that are worth, maybe investigating a little bit further. What do you guys feel about that?
So the way that, I mean, yes, you can definitely find different search terms. You may find, regional words that are popular in certain areas that could potentially have high sales volume for you. The example I always give of this is soda in the US. It's called a variety of different names in different locations. So yeah, you can find a lot of, regional specific keywords, which can be very helpful. But the other great information you can get from a lot of the reviews is even from your competitors' reviews, is seeing what issues the product has and how you can utilize the copy within your listing to focus on the solutions for those keywords, not just say, the keyword is, let's say, shoe, or for example, because we were talking about shoes before, let's change the copy to say, shoes that don't have whatever the problem is that our competitor has in some form or another. So reviews can be extremely helpful for both keyword research and for designing the copy within your listing.
Excellent.
Definitely. And reviews, there's something very nice that we can get through it is all variations and misspelling. One important thing that we usually and a lot of people forget about is for any search query, you have a lot of variations that are similar in terms of indexation when you rank on, and also in terms of targeting on while you are doing PPC. So you don't need to be stuffing and looking for all the variations. For example, if you find that a lot of people are misspelling a query, you don't need to have the right spelling and the misspelling in your listing or in your advertising targeting, because most of the misspellings and variations around a query, like shoes, they are grouped and considered as one by Amazon. For example, even when you do exact keyword targeting for a misspelling, it will be matching the right spelling exact keyword. And the other way around for search directly. When you search for a misspelling, usually Amazon, they say you have a mention just below the search bar saying, by the way, these results are for this, and they write the right spelling or the other variation of the spelling. So the takeaway here is whenever you come up with variations or misspelling, whatever you find in comments that you are not already having in your listing, as long as you can see that they are considered as one by Amazon, and you can do that either through search term reports while you are matching all exact search terms that are mapping the same exact, or just manually typing and seeing how Amazon is linking this query variation to the right one you have in mind.
Excellent. That was really good from both of you. I definitely learned something, and I think Amazon did that because of me, because I'm just a really poor speller, and it's good to know that even that misspellings are getting captured. So a moment ago, Mike mentioned copy a couple of times, and that's always a hot topic. We have title, we have bullets, we have description. How do we build in the keywords? What's the impact of the keywords? Where should they be positioned in the title, the bullets? you know, I also, you know, see things around, you know, content where, you know, there's Amazon guidelines, and DataHawk does a very good job of showing our customers, you know, when, you know, it should be 200 characters here, or, and what I always tell people that I speak with is Amazon is giving you the real estate, so use it, right? I mean, it doesn't cost anything to use it. So have rich content. The longer a shopper stays on your product page, the higher your chances is to convert them. So give them something interesting to look at, or something interesting to read. What's the sense from the two of you, your experience around, you know, how to build the, you know, the perfect page, which I think is, like, everybody of course strives for that perfect page, right? You know, what is the perfect page? I don't know. I guess whatever converts, right? Whatever's going to generate sales is the perfect page. And then as a follow-up to that, how often should we be updating our PDP? So I mean, our sales are okay. They're you know, we're achieving our objectives. You know, can we do better? Do we just sit on our laurels, or is there something around, well, okay, you know, I grew my sales, got great content, my organic rankings are higher now. How do I even get better, right? So if you guys can talk a little bit about content, where to put the keywords, the value, and how often we should be looking at that stuff.
Sure. See, there's a lot to unpack there, Pierre. So I'll just kind of start going on that. I think, you know, before we get to actually creating the content, I think we have to talk about how we figure out what keywords are the most relevant for actually putting in our product listings. And before we even talk about that, we kind of need to think about how the listings are set up a little bit more. You know, more and more shoppers are starting to shop on mobile instead of shopping on the desktop. So it's becoming more and more popular. And one of the big differences you see with the Amazon app on your phone is that the images come at the top, the bullet points come at the bottom. So in a way, bullet points become more just for an SEO purpose than they do for an actual sales purpose. I mean, most people are just seeing the images, swiping through, and, you know, seeing whether they like the product or not. So that's the first thing we need to consider, is how listings are actually set up. The second thing to talk about is, you know, how are we going to go through our keyword lists that we found during the research phase and figure out what keywords we want to put where. Obviously, the way that we start doing this is we start doing some segmentation within our keyword research. So we want to start organizing our list to start with by what's the highest search volume keywords on Amazon, which ones are the most relevant. And then from there, we're going to continue to segment down and figure out the order of importance that we want these keywords to show up within our listing. The way that we always explain this to our clients is that the best ways for copy to be created for the Amazon platform is that the most relevant, most important, highest traffic keyword that you are trying to rank for should be in the title somewhere. You may be able to put 2 keywords in there without making the title overstuffed. But again, it really needs to read well to make sure that it's going to convert well. It looks good within the Amazon platform, because titles still show up on mobile. That's still the first thing you're going to see no matter what. So making sure that looks good is one thing. The next section in terms of order of importance is bullet points. And there we're going to focus on the next set of keywords that we've segmented that we want to index for, that are high traffic and that are important to be on the front end of our listing. From there, we move into product descriptions as the next important section. And then after that, search terms, where we'll use a lot of deduplicated terms to make that didn't make the cut on the first 3 sections in order of importance. But we still want to try to index that for them on Amazon. They're going to go in the back end of our search term page. Another thing that we've been testing out, and we've been seeing some good results with this, is actually alt text on images, especially within A+ content and sometimes within product listings as well. So for example, if you actually save your images with a specific keyword title that you're not using within your listing somewhere else, you can index that for that on Amazon. So Amazon will actually index the alt text on your images. So that's another good way that you can leverage the keywords within your listing. So there's a lot of different steps there in going through on the actual setup. And then I think the other question you had, Pierre, was how frequently do we change it? For us, we typically look to get the listing optimized, and then we try to launch with that same list of keywords with our advertising at the same time, or as close as possible, to try to maximize our ranking results and the initial boost that Amazon gives us, or the honeymoon period, as we call it. So that's one way we start. We won't look at changing keywords until probably 3 to 6 months down the line to see how those keywords have performed. And when we have enough data from the advertising side to actually determine what's working and what's not working for our product, or what's relevant and what's not relevant. Images are something that will change a little bit more frequently. We will do, A/B testing there to figure out what images are converting better, because not only do we want the products to index, but like you said before, the product needs to convert. We need to actually be able to sell it. So that's the way that we kind of approach creating a listing from our end.
Very, very, very cool. And again, learned something new about naming the image file with a keyword sort of reference and getting getting indexed for that. That's really cool. Tariq, what would you like to add to that? How do you guys approach it?
Yeah, so just a disclaimer here, I'm not as experienced as Mike in terms of listing optimization, because it's not our core business in M19, but there is a big link that is ranking and conversion rate, the way we manage PPC through conversion rate. And while you are selecting your keyword, while you are starting with this, making this list of keywords to prepare your listing, the main thing to keep in mind is you want to prioritize relevant keyword on popular keyword on search. So you have two axes. Either you think about search volume or how relevant they are to your ASINs. You need definitely to first filter on only relevant keyword to your ASIN, no matter what, doesn't care. You don't need to put a very popular keyword that is not very relevant. Otherwise, it will be only hurting your ranking, your ASIN ranking. So this is a first thing. Second is what Mike was describing perfectly, is there is a priority, there is an order of importance. So definitely your most relevant keywords. So when you select your keywords, you keep only the relevant, then you can rank over this relevant based on search volume, for example. The tier one should be in the title, then you have the bullet point, then the description. So there is a hierarchy in terms of the power of a keyword, where to use it, and definitely the title is the first. And the last thing that I would add here is how important to always keep in mind that it's conversion rate that matter. So wherever you are putting your keyword in your listing, you need to keep in mind that if the conversion rate is not good, it's better not to add it into your listing, because it might hurt the other ones where you are converting well. So always in your keyword extraction and insert in your product page, keep in mind that relevancy is directly linked to conversion rate, and this is the thing to keep in mind while working on your listing. The frequency, as Mike said, in theory, you should update if there are shifts in terms of relevancy to your product, which doesn't happen that much. So you need to recheck in order to see if you missed something, not because there are some new keywords or other keywords on which your product should be ranking better or converting more. It's more to reassess how well you did the work. And this is why I guess he suggested this 6 months to revisit the work and see how relevant the keywords you did select in terms of conversion.
Exactly. I can't reiterate enough what Tariq just said. I mean, relevancy is extremely important, which is why, I mentioned in the beginning, break out the most highest search volume keywords, but then you got to go through that list and say, well, this is relevant for my product, this isn't. Including keywords that aren't relevant are going to hurt your conversion rates. It's going to hurt your ranking, like Tariq just spoke about. So definitely keep that in mind while you're going through your keyword research for your listing setup.
So excellent. So what's the sense around when you are tracking competition, which obviously is important to do, right? Just for number of reasons, but as you're tracking competition, where you see them bidding, let's say, so they're ranking really well organically, and they're running sponsored ads on page one like every day. And when I see things like that, generally, assuming not a branded search term, right? Relatively generic search term, and I see them organically performing really well, yet they're bidding every day, and that kind of tells me that they're driving a lot of traffic with that search term. They want to capture that additional space. Is that a fair assessment of, am I kind of reading that correctly? And is that something that makes sense to target as well, to say, okay, well, I'm gonna go after that one as well, because it's relevant for me, even though my competitors beating me organically and spending what looks like, a lot of money running page one every day. How do we approach that?
Yeah, I can start off on this. This is a really tough question to answer, and I think it really comes down to the marketing budgets that each seller is going to have, or each brand is going to have on the platform. I mean, keyword conquesting is a great way to make your product show up higher for the most relevant search terms, but you're right, it can be extremely expensive if your competitors are running a similar strategy, if they've been focused on dominating, top of search for those most important, most relevant keywords. So if you're a brand that has the money to invest in that, then yeah, I mean, that should be part of your strategy, trying to get into the top of search using the bid multiply, the placement multipliers, as well as high bids to try to capture more impressions there, because top of search is typically going to convert higher than the rest of search within the listing. It's what customers are seeing. It's, they're clicking on the first results. And it's becoming more and more important to show up there as Amazon keeps adding placements at the top of search results. I mean, I think there's like 2 organic search results now. So being there in the top is extremely important.
Yeah, for 16 sponsored. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And on the other hand, if you're a seller that doesn't have as much of a budget, I mean, that's a strategy you might want to focus on down the line. Instead of focusing on, trying to compete directly with the keywords, you may want to focus on product targeting those competitors that are, spending all their budget on the top search terms, so that when, or sponsored display product targeting, sponsored product targeting, sponsored brand product targeting, to show up when customers actually hit the product listing page, and maybe they'll give your product some other considerations. So you're just hitting the customer at a different part in the shopping journey to make them consider your product, versus I'm going to go all in on my budget, spend all my money on this keyword, and hopefully I get to the top of page one.
Yeah.
At least that's my thoughts on it.
You definitely need to be very cautious about budgets, especially when you are trying to go for established brands or products, because what you can pay for one click on one search term can be very different from your main competitors. And the funny thing here that is not funny for small sellers is, the bigger you are, the cheaper the clicks will be, which means that the higher your market share is, the higher your conversion rate is on a specific search term, the smaller your bid can be to get the position number 1. Because when Amazon is deciding to which product I want to allocate the first position, they take into account not only your bid, but they need to see bid and likelihood of, if they show this product, it will convert. So one product that is very well established, that is selling a lot, that is converting very well. So this second piece that they use to decide if what product they show is big on famous and big successful products. So the first element of the bid doesn't need to be very high. So the thing to keep in mind is, when you are competing with big brands or established sellers for the same position and the same search term, they need less budget to get to it. So this is why it's important, as Mike said, to have other strategies in order to try to compete with them, because they get the same traffic for a fewer amount of money. And the other thing I would add is, you need to be very precise in terms of bidding management and how much it is costing you in terms of like profit. So doing PPC without a clear and direct view to your profit at ASIN level can hurt you very fast, because it happens a lot that we want to say, let's say I want to rank on this keyword, or I want to be position number 1 because I believe that I will be ranked better organically and it will bring me sales in the future. Yes, it might happen, but not all the cases. So we forget about the cost of PPC, and we forget about what is the share of PPC or sponsored sales in terms of total revenue. So two simple things to keep in mind here when you are trying to go for competitors. First, big competitors pay cheaper the click. Second, keep a close look to your profit at ASIN level. Otherwise, it can go really crazy very fast.
Otherwise, your cash flow is going to go out the window.
Yeah,
It's going to be tough to keep advertising.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes left, and I'm going to figure out how to get into the chat in a moment, see if we can answer some questions. I just wanted to maybe talk about one last thing. When we talk about longer tail search terms, and if you guys take a minute and talk about what you see as the value there, maybe less expensive to, the cost per click, fewer views, but maybe a higher conversion rate. So, tell me, how do you use that in your strategy, or is that a consistent part of your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, we always try to create campaigns. We implement a variety of different campaign strategies, but focused on longer tail keyword research is one of those. It's a little bit more complicated in that you may really when a customer is searching for a long-term keyword, they have a very specific thing that they want in mind. And if your product doesn't answer exactly what they're looking for, then it's probably not going to convert well. It's probably not going to, it's not going to spend that much because the search volume is not that high, but it's probably just going to be a waste of advertising dollars. So when you're focusing on longer tail keywords, it's really important to make sure that the keywords that you're actually advertising are entirely specific to your product, because the customer wants something that's very specific. That's one way I would look at it. The keyword research for that is really, in a way, just doing iterations based on what the search terms you're seeing are and based on what the features of your product are, and then iterating on those search terms to come up with a lot of long tail versions. Another good way to do this is also the suggestion box, the Amazon suggested box that Tariq mentioned earlier. It's another good way to identify a lot of long tail keywords. But again, it's not going to become a huge part of your ad budget. It's going to be very specific to the features that your product has within the listing, what it actually does. And it may convert a little bit better because the competition is a little bit lower.
Yeah. One thing to add here is these long-term keywords, usually you don't have a lot of clicks and conversion over them. So it's hard to find the right amount that you are willing or ready to pay for a click on them. So the usual way is try not to always have to have them inexact, because you don't have the right bid inexact for them. Or if you put them inexact, look at them as a group, like try to group this long tail, see the performance of this long tail, and figure out a bid for this group. And as long as you have low amount of data per long tail keyword, keep it grouped in terms of bidding. It can be separated in terms of structure, how you get them either by exact phrase or broad, whatever, different campaigns or same campaigns. But it's the key thing is in terms of bidding, the amount of money you are willing to pay for it. Think of it, see it grouped, looking at the long tail per ASIN grouped. And whenever you have one that is getting traction and volume, take it out and you can have a dedicated bid for it. And it doesn't matter how you get it, either through a broad phrase with the right negation or whatever. It's just don't and never try to fine tune a bit on the long tail, because you will be just wasting your time. You are just acting in noise. You are over reacting to what's happening, and it's not worth it.
Yeah, there's a lot more that you can achieve by optimizing keywords that are higher search volume or more relevant for your product and focusing on long term. I agree with that.
So here's a question, and we may run into a little bit of a conflict here. Do you advise using more automatic targeting or manual targeting? Someone asked.
It's
two perspectives.
It's a very good thing. No, long tail, the best way to capture, in my opinion, long tail is with minimum words in phrase, and whatever you have in this phrase, you negate it from the auto. So the best structure is whenever you have a precise targeting, either exact, it should be negated from phrase and from auto, or phrase, it should be negated from broad and from auto, etc., etc. If you want to control completely your structure, and you want any search term to be matched only once, and you want to avoid second pricing yourself and increasing artificially your cost. If your target is really to bombard the market and get the impression whatever the cost is, no, there's no problem. You can do auto, you can do phrase, exact, broad without any negation, because you will be hitting for the same search term from a lot of different targeting and campaigns. And what matters for you is just getting this impression. So it depends on what you are doing with your PPC.
We've got 1 more minute. I got one more question, which I'll give to Mike. Jack's asking, any idea of what can be done if one of our keywords or brand names is automatically changed by Amazon during search because it thinks it's a misspelling?
Yeah, I've come across this once or twice before, and it's actually very difficult. Essentially what you need to do, it's very tough if you don't have a well-known brand name. Essentially you need to train the Amazon algorithm to recognize your brand name and stop saying that this is a spelling error. So one of the ways you can do that is obviously converting on that, which is not easy. You need to be running a lot of, you need to, try to build up your branded searches within the platform. So doing a lot more customer discovery is one way to do that. Higher funnel advertising like brand awareness, and then start increasing the recognition of your brand and get people to Amazon searching for it. And then over time, Amazon will actually start training there. But again, it comes down to the conversions. So your product also needs to be good. But yeah, that is a big problem if you have a spelling error.
Great question. We are at the end. Thank you both, Mike, Tariq. Awesome job. I know I learned a lot. I'm sure our attendees did as well. We'll make these sessions available, take more questions, offline. So thank you both. Appreciate the time. I know time's super valuable for all of us. If everybody can give you a round of applause, but there's nobody here to do that, so I will. Thank you both again, and super helpful, and appreciate you guys joining us in our first virtual event. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep working hard, and thank you again for the education and the time that you've given us today. So cheers, guys. Have a great day. Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.